On today's episode of Things I Should Have Done a Month Ago but just didn't for some reason, we're making fairy wings. I used holographic cellophane, poster board, duct tape, an X-Acto knife, a heat gun, thick jewelry wire, a pencil, and something to cut on. I started by sketching out the fairy wings and cutting out all the little details with my X-Acto knife. I then connected the pieces with my white duct tape. I did this on both sides of the wings, and then once I had everything exactly how I wanted it, I very carefully took thick jewelry wire and taped it down to the surface that I was cutting on. From there, I used the duct tape to wrap around the edges of the wire and the poster board to get a nice clean look for when I have it underneath the cellophane. This part of the process did take the longest. I think it took me about 2 episodes of Downton Abbey to get through because I really wanted it to look as non-bulky as possible, and getting all those little details right took a very long time. I then got out the cellophane. I cut the approximate length of one of the fairy wings, and then I unfolded the layers to make it look really thin. I really wanted to be able to see through the wings. And then I very, very carefully lined up the cellophane on both sides to make sure that there were no gaps when I folded it over. I did my best to smooth out any gaps that I did see. I sprayed a little bit of spray adhesive down onto the one side of the cellophane. I used a heat gun to set that in, and then I went and covered the other side of the wing. After I got out all of the air pockets, I cut out the fairy wing and went to work on the edges. I used my heat gun to close the sides and make sure everything folded correctly. The heat gun shrinked the plastic a little bit so everything had a smooth finish. I made sure to fold down the edges of the cellophane so that they didn't stick out too far from the white wire. At this point in the process, it's really easy to overheat the cellophane. So if you're going to try this, make sure that you keep your heat gun a little bit farther away than you think you need to, and use it a little less than you think you need to. I found that if I let it sit for a few seconds and then do any touch-ups instead of going straight into the touch-ups, you don't burn through the cellophane. If you do burn through the cellophane, it's super easy to fix. You just cut out a little square of cellophane from the scraps that you had before, place it over top of the burnt area, and then heat gun that in. Make sure to spray extra adhesive. I created a little wire hook on each of the wings after I had connected the smaller parts of the wings in order to put it into a corset, and that's how my Tinker Fairy will be wearing her wings. Overall, I think they turned out really well and they worked perfectly for our event, and they do give bonus points for being budget friendly. Thanks for tuning in!